And it's Arsenal who are top of the table with a maximum 12 points from their opening 4 games. A goal difference of +8, same as Manchester City, and after that huge win, same as Liverpool. And we will talk more about the league leaders in just a second. Also joining us in the studio today, we have Premier League title winner Sean Wright Phillips and journalist Flo Lloyd-Hughes. Before we speak to those two, we have a special guest waiting to speak to us live from Arsenal's training ground. The Arsenal goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale is with us. Aaron, what a weekend, what a start to the season it's been for Arsenal. I know you're going to tell us it's only 3 games in, but you've got to enjoy these moments, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. Any game in the Premier League is tough to win. Doesn't matter what people say about celebrating. We're going to celebrate how we want to every Premier League win we get. So yeah, 4 from 4. It's a perfect start for us. Obviously, there's things which we want to improve on within the game, but after the game, the facts of the matter don't lie. We've won 4 out of 4, and long may that continue.
Mikel Arteta said that after the game as well, about looking to improve certain areas of the play. Is that kind of mentality what's going to help Arsenal this season, that need to want to be better even when it's going well?
Yeah, definitely. We might be at the top of the table right now, but we know we're nowhere near the finish article, and we're nowhere near the teams who have finished above us at the top of the league in recent years. So we're trying to improve every day, and this is the challenge which we face every day in training, which is amazing. All the lads are buying into it, and I think that's where we're getting sort of this winning mentality from, is in training. Everybody wants to win, everyone wants to be better, and we've got a great squad who are all pulling in the same direction so far.
Aaron, you know, I wanted to say, because you mentioned it briefly about the celebrating, and I'm getting it a lot as well, to be honest. Because I'm not celebrating, I'm just saying that people should be able to celebrate. But for me, that win and coming back like we did, especially when people speak about Arsenal, no leaders, no character, no backbone, it seemed like there was something in the celebration what everybody was really, really happy about.
Yeah, I think over recent years that them comments have been made about the football club. It's something which us as a team and a club have tried to change. I think you saw in the celebrations it was almost a little bit of a up yours kind of celebration. In the way you said it about, in recent years we might not have come back from this, and that's the loudest I've heard the stadium since I've been here. We went a goal down, and it was the same the week before when Saliba scored his own goal. The fans literally are making so much noise and dragging us on. So yes, there was games last year where we came back from a goal down and won, but we did it in our way from the start on Saturday, and that's the thing which the boss is big on. We know how we can win different ways, we can mix the game up, but we stuck to our philosophy, and we managed to get the 2 goals.
It's interesting that you talked about the noise inside the Emirates as well, because that's something that I think a lot of former...
The Ashburton Army.
The Ashburton Army with their black shirts on, dressed like Mikel Arteta. But you know, they've made a real effort to do this, but also they've got plenty to cheer on as well. But there's a lot of former Arsenal players who are saying they haven't seen it like that in a long, long time. How much do you feel that on the pitch? How much does it help you?
Definitely. Obviously, my connection with the fans is... Everyone knows how much I enjoy playing football, and the fans give me a big backing. But when we can see the goal or someone makes a mistake and it's no moans and groans, it's almost like they forget about the 90 minutes. For that 90 minutes they are just totally invested in the football team, and it gives us a huge lift. They scored on Saturday, and you could barely hear the Fulham fans celebrating because we had 50,000, 60,000 Arsenal fans cheering us on, getting us back into the game. So it makes a huge bonus, and as I said, they're buying into what we're trying to do. If it doesn't work out in that specific game, then they can have their moans after, but I think that's where they've realised for that 95 minutes they give us our all, and we'll give our all to them.
But you're really vocal and really animated, and right from the back, it feels that's something that Arsenal have made an effort to do. It feels like there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of driving each other on. Is that something that you've worked on and that the manager wants?
It was quite natural for myself and for Ben White. He's been in teams which, so his Brighton team is being surrounded by Lewis Dunk or Webster or Duffy, who make a big block and they get around each other and have almost a celebration. So he's had it before, and obviously it's come very natural for me throughout my career. But when we first came in, especially last year, and me, Kieran, Big Gabby, Ben and Tommy were training day in, day out together, it just becomes a natural bond. And even though Gabby's English is improving, last year it was a bit difficult, so it probably helped him for us to show our emotions, for him to realise what we were trying to say, rather than trying to speak to him. And then obviously with this year, William Saliba's come in and we've had a sort of reshuffle at the moment, and it's just this natural thing now where we make a save or one of the lads makes a block or something like that, and it's not taking away your focus from the game, but you give yourself a high five or you shout and a little fist bump and things, and that also gets the fans with us, and that's a major thing for us.
And it's not just about, obviously, the non-playing side of things. You look at the save that you made towards the end of the game. How important was that? What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I think I did an interview after the Bournemouth game, and the question was asked about where I am and how much I can improve, and I said I was nowhere where I wanted to be, and I think that goal kind of summed it up a little bit. I don't think many people would have commented on myself, but me and my goalie coach are very harsh when we look at the analysis, and I think in that time I've tried to help Gabby too much, and rather than just sort of reading the situation. So I think I should probably save the goal. So I think towards the end of the game, it was almost trying to help the team again in another situation, which thankfully I did with sort of 2 saves. But then after one of the saves, Ben White makes a huge block. So we're all pulling each other in the same direction. We're all sort of making up for either good moments or bad moments. So at the moment, everything's working really well.
Because there's a few games coming up in October, Europa League and that, and you've not played in Europe yet. I know you played international football, you've not played in Europe yet. You're looking forward to that? Yeah,
absolutely. I can't wait. Obviously, the dream is the Champions League, but step by step. I can't wait to sort of travel on the Wednesday night, play on the Thursdays. It's going to be a whole new experience, not just playing away in these stadiums, but also learning how to recover with these games, playing on Sundays, Thursdays. So it's a whole new experience. It's not just playing the football games in new stadiums. It's everything which comes with it, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's something which I really, really hope we do really well in and go kick on and go and win the trophy, because there's nothing better than winning competitions and winning football matches.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and you'd know more about that than I would.
Well, to be honest, Kels, yeah, I've won a couple of things, but
Righty would know a lot about that. Yeah.
I'm going to say about the game now. Villa coming up on Wednesday, and it's very hard not to feel confident, especially obviously Villa not doing as well as they are. But obviously you've got to take each game as it comes. Then obviously Man United. What's it feel like at the moment in the camp? The boys can't wait for the next game. Everybody calm. Everybody not taking things too quickly.
Yeah, I think the addition of Zinchenko and Jesus has definitely helped in terms of not getting ahead of yourselves. We all know anyway that you have to take every game as it comes, because every game poses different challenges, no matter if the team's in form or not in form. But it can be sometimes difficult when you're inexperienced of in a position of winning football games week in, week out, that you get a bit giddy and you get a bit overexcited or overconfident. So we've got good people around the dressing room and the staff reminding us that it doesn't matter if the team we're playing is top of the league or bottom of the league and haven't won in 10 games. This is the Premier League. This is the best players in the world where they want to be. So yeah, everyone wants the games to come thick and fast because we're on such a high at the moment. But we know all the challenges which Aston Villa and other teams are going to pose us in the coming weeks.
Aaron, as you said, it's all about winning football matches. It's all about trying to win silverware. You're targeting the Europa League. Have you talked as a squad? I'm not really expecting you to tell me what the outcome of those talks have been, but about what you can achieve in the Premier League this season.
We haven't as a team. We haven't had any sort of team meetings. I think it's a given at this football club that Champions League football is the target. Obviously, we've had a dream start at the moment, so I think it would be silly for us to start talking about things in 34 more games or whatever it is. But yeah, I think then sort of when you're at a football club like this, there's certain challenges and certain expectations which are given. So you don't really need to talk about it. But as I alluded to, we have Aston Villa on Wednesday. Once that's chalked off, that's one game more done, and we'll see what position we're in then.
Aaron, been lovely talking to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Aaron, I see you for golf, Aaron. We're going to play together, or what's going to happen? We're going to play together.
Yeah, well, you'll have to hire your handicap because you're a bit of a bandit. What do you mean?
No, I'm ready to go. No, you've got to lower your handicap because I heard you're hitting it in miles and that, so I don't really want to come in and you embarrass me.
No, but we'll definitely play next month,
Yeah, we've got the game set up, so we'll do it, Aaron. I'm so pleased with everything, and I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, Wrighty. Thanks, Kelly.
And you can see an extended version of that on the Golf Channel.
I can't believe you're hustling. You're hustling the Arsenal players.
You can't let people get away with bad handicaps.
But look, it has been a brilliant start to the season, and what I think probably you're most pleased with hearing Aaron Ramsdale say there is they're striving to Better. They're not just looking at results, they're looking at performances and they're looking at where they can improve.
Yeah, and I think you can't look away from the fact that Zinchenko and Jesus coming in kind of steadies all the hype that might be in there, having such a great start after coming off of such a poor start last season. So you've got people in there who know how to. Yeah, this is fine. Let's just carry on and take it game by game. But the attitude and the fans and everything together, there's a momentum. So you're just hoping that you can just win the next game and just carry on. Everything seems to be going okay. And it's like he said, you can't stop people from being happy about it. They're on a journey, since Mikel's got there, and they're in the journey and things are working. So when you see things working, like a team come back from being a goal down, when people say Arsenal's got no leaders, they've got no heart. If you score a goal against Arsenal, they crumble. They didn't do that, and that felt to me like when they celebrated there, they're just showing people how together and how strong they are.
And you can see there the celebrations, and it wasn't just at the final whistle that Arsenal was celebrating. I mean, they're actually relatively calm. Well, until then, they're actually relatively calm in the post-match celebrations. It was that winning goal that really seemed to take the roof off at the Emirates. But they did it, as you said, without Zinchenko in the side. But he was involved in the goal celebrations as well. He was down warming up and himself into it. It just shows and it's easy to feel together when they're on a winning streak, but it seems to show that.
Yeah, and also he was hassling the fourth official, I think, for the majority of the game. And you need that because those sorts of things do influence games as much as lots of people would like to think not. Like being in the referee's ear, being in the fourth official's ear, it will have an impact, as both Sean and Ian know. And a lot of my friends who are Arsenal fans said that at that Fulham game, although it might not matter so much come the end of the season, they said that was one of the best atmospheres they've had at the Emirates in a very long time. And think about the North London derbies that have been there, other big games against rivals, but a comeback win against Fulham was a definitive moment for them and this group of players. So I think that just shows how far along and how good good the atmosphere and the feeling is at the club right now.
It's all about that wave that they're riding, and I suppose when we talk about new managers coming in, we can all sit here and say new managers need time. They need time to develop their ideas. I think from the beginning with Arteta, with a few bumps along the way, it's been quite clear what he wanted to do. And so it's interesting to see it look like it's coming to fruition now.
It's unbelievable to see. I think the club in general have backed him the right way. They've given the time to build what he wanted to build. And with that time, you've seen the progress. And I think, I wouldn't say he's followed how Liverpool or Man City have done it. They've done it their own way, but they've still given the adequate time to get them to where they are. And with that, he's had the inconsistencies of last year of the squad being so young. Now he's added young experience to that. That's been on that journey before, that know how to deal with all the pressures and the ups and downs. It's just a matter of, I think we will see how far they've actually come, is if they lose that one game and straight after that one game they bounce straight back and get straight back on that wagon of winning all the games again.
I think that people don't realise that when you're a team, like Man City will know, you know, former teams like Arsenal know, Liverpool know, all the teams that are favourites to win the league in their respective times know how important it is to start well in the season. Obviously, if you're a new team coming up, you know you have to start well as well, because you don't want to be sucked in, and same in the middle. But when you're going for it, you have to start well. And that's why I can't underestimate the inclusion of Jesus and Zinchenko, because they will know how important it is to start well. And I think that you can see it in the way that the guys are reacting at the minute.
You'd say it's important to start well, and there's a strong chance that Arsenal could have an even better start, because they've got Villa coming up in midweek, who are struggling at the moment, and we'll talk about them in a second. And then it's Manchester United. Does that feel like the test at this stage in the season for Arsenal?
Flo made a good point, Flo, about Man United and, you know, the momentum change. You should say that, because I don't want to steal it from you.
I mean, it's not exactly groundbreaking, but I do think that Liverpool result for United has changed a lot in maybe the trajectory of their season, and there's still some business to be done this transfer window. So I think come that United fixture for Arsenal, it could be a very different team they're playing, with even more confident players coming back from injury. And I think the relationship between their back line is growing from strength to strength. So I do think it's going to be a different sort of beast than they faced in the past few seasons. And I think everything will be about what Sean said, is if they do draw or lose that game, how quickly can they bounce back? Because that will mean everything. Because perhaps things won't go their way in that game, and that's fine. But it's about how the fans and the group react to it, and not just thinking, oh, well, that's it now.
And the thing is, I don't want to brush Villa aside or what's the word I'm looking for, Kelsey? Dismiss Aston Villa, but it's the kind of game that Arsenal, in their current form, go to, and people think, yeah, and then bam, they might slip up. But I think that they're strong enough to know that they've got to go that game, and even if they don't play well, you've got to get something. That's what I want to see from the Arsenal team now. Just like if they get past that and they get to United, is that you don't lose those games when you're not playing well. That's what you want to see next from Arsenal.
And also think about last season, when they were in such a good position, on such a good run, heading into the final few weeks of the season, really good chance of getting in top four. They had it in their hands, and then what was it? Defeat to Southampton, defeat to Brighton,
Newcastle.
And it all unravelled very quickly. So they've been in good runs before, with not the group that they have right now with the summer additions, but they've been in that place for a while. So they can't let that happen again when they're at the top and everything's going good. Is just lose the games where, you know, it should be comfortable for them.
It's going to be one of those games, especially against Villa, because Villa are playing for, in fact, Stevie's under pressure. They're playing for their own positions, and like you said, they don't want to get sucked into that relegation battle, because I've been down there. It's a tough place to be, regardless of how well you're playing. Sometimes you still lose those points, as we saw Everton at stages of last year do. So I think that is a massive game for Arsenal. In some ways, I think it might be bigger than a game against Man United, because the players will be all up for that game. It's the lower teams and the teams in the weaker positions that some players tend to dip on, and hopefully they haven't got that in them.
When you say Steven Gerrard's under pressure, do you think it's under pressure for his job, or do you think under pressure to turn things around and to start to get some results?
I think it's under pressure to turn things around and get some results. I think it would be a bit early now to put him in that position where he could possibly be sacked, but I've seen some of the games, and some of them they've played all right, and even like that goal there, it's a great effort, and if you don't shoot, you most probably don't score, but it takes that slight deflection, and when you're down in those positions, all those things happen to you. all the goals that most probably wouldn't have gone in all go in for some weird reason, and that just adds to the pressure. And if you look at his stats, he's possibly worse than Gary Neville at the minute, percentage-wise, in stats when he had a job. And it's something that he...
The Valencia job, you're talking.
Yeah, I know. I know. So it's something he does need to turn around, because everybody's going to be looking at all these numbers, all these stats, and he has a good team there. It's just a matter of them getting together and the players that he's actually brought in to do what they've been brought in for. He's got good striker in Ollie Watkins. You know, Ings is always going to score goals. You got Coutinho in behind. He's got so much talent there to play with, to create chances. And at the minute, it just hasn't happened for them.
I feel it feels more like there's a lot of pressure from the fans. I don't know who they'd want the ball to get. God forbid if they did move Stevie on, but I feel like Sean, when you listen to the list of players, yes. They've got enough in their squad to be able to put a run together. But then when you start badly, like especially against Bournemouth, and we've seen what's happened to Bournemouth since the first game of the season when they beat Villa, and they've beaten Villa, so that they've started on a negative, and now they're not getting the luck, they're not getting the run of games. It's kind of moved around with the Mings thing, and then bringing it back, and that there's a lot going on that has to be sorted out. But I think that the pressure will probably be coming more from the fans and the people upstairs, because you don't want to take someone like Stevie Gerrard, a young manager, and then the first time it gets really rocky, then you bow to the fans. You've got to give him the time to try and get himself in a position where he can get that team playing how he wants them to.
But what they are now in is the situation that they really didn't want to be, which is when Steven Gerrard made the decision about Tyrone Mings to take the captaincy away from him, to drop him from the team, to come out and say this is what he needs to do in training if he wants to get back into the side. At the time, everybody said, this now needs to go well for Aston Villa. Yeah. And it hasn't done. And it's very easy to point to those pre-season decisions and say, well, that's had a knock-on effect, particularly with him having had a headache at the weekend.
Yeah, and then he made those decisions based on transfers, and then some of the players he's brought in have got injured. So then you've got to look back to that player and say, oh, you remember what I said? No, now's your chance. I think at the weekend, it was the fifth different centre-back partnership that Villa have played, including, a cup game in that as well. So no rhythm there, because he keeps changing the team, he keeps changing the formations, he keeps asking them to play different ways and styles of playing football. So I think everyone's a little bit confused at the moment, and I think it's also trying to fit all that talent in one place. You've got Danny Ings, who's making loads of runs and is trying to be a bit of a target man, but then he's having to drop back and play because there's no one playing that playmaker role, because him and Watkins are trying to do the same thing and get in each other's way and get in each other's space. So I think there needs to be a real kind of moment where they sit down and understand and establish what everyone is doing on that team. I don't think they're going to get in a position where they're going to be fighting for survival. But with him coming in, I think there were certain ambitions and expectations, and it's that I think is disappointing for the fans, rather than necessarily how deep they're going to get into a relegation battle.
Yeah, and facing a buoyant Arsenal in midweek, so it doesn't get any easier for Aston Villa.